Hey there. So, did your friend not go to lunch like she said over the weekend? Did that guy you've been texting with and hanging out with a little bit not text you back? He's ghosting you. Did your boss all of a sudden just not even acknowledge the fact that you did a big project and didn't even recognize you or say thank you at all? And did you really put together that you're very dictated emotionally by these things not happening? Well, then this is the video for you, because today we're going to learn through my gazillion times that I had expectations and went through emotional turmoil that it taught me the one thing about the difference between expectations and intentions that saved me. Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about how you unlock your purest potentials by letting go of expectations, converting expectations to intentions. That is the true power versus force. And so we're going to try to get that understanding, clear, concise understanding, especially in this day and age where we got a lot of law of attraction and manifestations and union or non-duality. Those are all terms that really kind of springboard on what we're talking about right here. And so here's just another way to look at it so we can actually get to this place where we aren't dictated by the external reality, and it isn't messing up our vibrational standpoint, and we can start living more free and peaceful and have joy in our lives that we cultivated within ourselves without an expectation or being dictated by external circumstances. I know that's a big, huge thing to swallow, but in this one, we're going to try to get that understanding of the mindsets we've been in and why we're on this hamster wheel of manifestation and we can't understand how to get out of it. And so this is it, y'all. This is really it. Using these two understandings, you can understand what we've been doing our whole lives and what we want to shift our mindsets and energetic patterns to stop it and get into some pure co-creation with our intentions. So here goes. Okay, so let's get a little understanding of the difference between having or setting an expectation versus setting an intention. This is real crucial because we're trying to help understand basically duality versus union, or, being at the mercy of external things to cultivate inner peace, all of that. So basically, expectations are a form of duality because we usually set expectations to fulfill something that we need to feel better. And we don't even recognize that that's what's happening, but just to try to conceptualize that, let's just say that your car is breaking down and you set the expectation that in 2-3 months you're going to be able to buy a new car. So you set an expectation and then you go into the ways that you're going to do that. And let me just tell you, this is triggering duality in you because you are taking past and projecting it into future. So in the past, you've learned that maybe it's extremely challenging to earn enough money to buy a new car. And so then you're going to start putting expectations into the future that, nope, this time it's going to be different. I'm going to earn XYZ this month from overtime or whatever that is, and I'm going to overcome this. But what you really I'm hoping we'll understand from this teaching is that that's all limited beliefs. And these are the mindsets we have to shift out of because our past, we have never really got into the abundant principles of energy. So what we're doing is we are activating duality, which means our past, we've never really been fulfilled, and we've always put an expectation into the future. And so what we're doing within ourselves is we're activating opposing beliefs. And these opposing beliefs, aka duality, have lived in us our whole lives. And so expectations activate duality. They say, okay, I am going to earn more money consciously. I got it. Law of attraction, manifestation. I'm going to have enough money in 2 months. But what you're really doing with that expectation is activating the opposing belief, because unconsciously you don't believe it. And so there it is. And then you're in turmoil, and you know it from the way you feel. I do talk about if you go too far too fast, that you're just activating resistance. So that's another way of looking at it. If it's never happened for you that quickly, then just saying those things is actually triggering more resistance. So I really want you to understand that when you set these expectations, what you're doing is, as the Buddhists so eloquently state, expectation is the root cause of all suffering. So let's look at it another way. When you set an expectation, you are saying to yourself that I need this thing in the future so that I know I can feel better when I get it. And so what you're doing consistently, and Saturn is the ruler of this. Ironically, I have a Saturn. Do I have a Saturn? Sure, I do. Saturn's the energy that rules this. It puts things in time and space, and it slows things down so that we can see what we are doing with these limiting opposing beliefs. It's a very hard teacher. It restricts things from happening until we get it, so that we can soar into cultivating the higher, like Jupiterian energies and things like that. So we need Saturn. You know, Saturn gets a bad rap, and we're actually moving out of the age of Aquarius. I think today's the first day. And so, and tangent, the point is that you're putting it in time and space to feel better. Clue. I expect this to happen out there, so I feel better. But this is activating opposing beliefs because you've been doing this. And that means that internally you never cultivated the energy on your own. So you're always going to be in that seek thing, and then you're in duality. You're waiting for something externally to happen to make yourself feel better about a car, about money, about a home, all of that. So I hope this helps you explain. So, learning through contrast, as I love to do on this channel, let's look at what intentions do and how that's different. So hopefully it kind of clicks for you about why expectations, what you've been doing as far as manifesting, and how we can get out of that hamster wheel. Okay, so intentions, for just a little nutshell understanding. I hope you understood what expectations are. It's like I expect something to happen out there so I feel better, in a nutshell. And so intentions are, I'm just going to cultivate the feeling now, and then use that energy of feeling good to look at the world full of promise and unknown possibilities for myself and say, I intend for this area of my life to expand. And not really determining how or having an expectation how, just knowing and being able to hold the feeling, cultivating the feeling now that your life is going to expand in whatever area it is you want. So in the car scenario, it would be, obviously you need money, so it would be abundance, right? And the expectation is always money, but money is just the symbol of abundant energy. And everybody could fight me on this because I grew up in a very dominantly poverty-stricken area, and I lived in a very wealthy area, and the mindsets and the energy behind what people are doing is very clear. So this is real right here. And so with the power that you learn to cultivate is that you're not seeking externally to feel good. You're just feeling good, and then you want the universe to surprise you. How is the universe going to provide me abundance to buy a new car? Who knows? But it feels so good because you're cultivating the feeling now. When you're doing it through expectation, it doesn't feel good immediately. It feels like, okay, I know out there somewhere it'll happen. But you have the opposing belief. No, it freaking won't. It never has. So duality doesn't feel good. Intention. And the reason I'm using this on this channel to help you understand how to get into that, because if you're setting expectations, that resistance and that soul crushing feeling, but you wash it away with, it's okay, it'll all make sense then, versus intention where you're trying to cultivate the feeling. So let's say your car is breaking down and you just get to joy and peace inside yourself, and you say, I don't know, but there will be a way. And so intentions really don't have an external desire to feel good. It's just like, please let me rest in that things will happen so I can continue to feel good. So many ways to describe it. It's almost, I used to say it's the ineffable. You can't really describe it because it's like wanting something but not caring if it happens. And it's like, what? Then you don't want it. It's such a conundrum. But I hope you can understand through this example that intentions are, I believe now and feel good now that things are going to open up for me with very little activation of resistance. Because again, I want you to understand resistance is the indication that you have an expectation that is in duality and it is not going to end well for you. Things only flow and end well or come to you when you are in that flow state without resistance and when you're in non-duality. So that's why we have to, especially in the beginning, if we've had a lot of this, let's just use the example of abundance and poverty, mind sense, we get the mind sense from mantras and law of attraction videos and things, and then our unconscious is opposing everything we're doing because we, and then it gets worse and worse, and then we start feeling worse and worse. And I'm like, I thought law of attraction, manifestation was going to make me feel better. But let's just start with this. We just need to learn to cultivate the feeling of feeling good, even when we perceive the outer reality as going bad. We're not supposed to set our sights on the world to dictate how we feel. We're supposed to have faith in what we don't see. And faith is a high energy, like peace and joy and love. So how do we cultivate that feeling, and how do we intend and hold it? Because expectation will never get you there. Expectation always feels like junk and that you have to wait for this future event to feel good. So that's the winning question. Let's talk about that. So the main thing is to cultivate the feeling that everything's going to work out. That is the baseline beginning start. Is then we have to start to really get self-aware of what's triggering us, our lack, and start shifting it to whatever it is within yourself that you can remind yourself that you really aren't in lack. For me, it started with things always work out for me. Let me stop defaulting. And this is a huge thing of the ego dualistic thought system, the expectation hamster wheel we're on, is that we default to things not working out for us. And that is what our momentum is for our unconscious that's opposing the conscious things we want. And so the best way to go about it is small until you can hold that feeling of belief. The feeling of belief that things are going to work out for you is most important. So start there. And then if you try to jump to, I'm going to make $1 million next year, then you're going to realize that dualistic thing and you can't hold that feeling good about it. And you're like, yeah, right. No. So let's let that go. I intend to know that abundance is coming to me until you can feel it. That's an intention. You know that the work is internal. To feel good that everything's going to work out and financially you're going to be okay, and you're not looking externally or expecting something out there to happen. Another way that I teach this in coaching is I'm no longer dictated by what is happening to tell me how to feel. I'm no longer dictated by external circumstances emotionally, mentally. This is a whole new mindset. Especially for people who have been having like law of attraction or manifestation videos and really just feeling super triggered and they can't get into the vortex, or they can't, co-create from love, because everybody knows God is love, right? And so co-creating with God, you need to be in the state of being of love. Well, this is the reason why expectations versus intentions, in baby stepping into feeling good and then moving up in our intentions as our energy, our emotions dictate. Not too fast, not expectations, and not relying on the external to make us feel good. Key. So let's talk about a story to kind of get this juices flowing of how this can happen in your life. Okay, so I had started a career in food. I became a territory manager for food. I had 15 states on the East Coast. I had to travel a lot. I had a lot of kids, and I kept having kids. And I was like, oh, this is just getting too much. I had such strong requirements for travel in my business, and it was really breaking me and my husband down. And so I was starting to set the intention, and I was studying law of attraction a lot, that I would love for me to have a food broker job that didn't require as much travel. And so then what started to happen is, as my boss started to act funny, and then he started to say, well, maybe we should have you team up with somebody to help you manage your territory, which is absolutely unheard of, and it would affect my money. Because then I would be splitting my sales revenues and margins with somebody else. And I was getting furious and super triggered. And just instead of being able to stay in that momentum of an intention I had set that felt good, because I was doing it. I was saying, I need something that requires less travel. But then when Uranian energy came in, which is like the game changer, it'll force things to happen to give you what you want, but then we tend to clench up that we're losing what we had. And so I started to get into that. And so what ended up happening is I quit my job. He pissed me off one day. It was really bad, and it was worthy of quitting my job, but I didn't have a job, and I was pregnant. So I went from, this 6-figure career and being pregnant and not having a job. So that is where my expectations of like this job was just going to pop up, and it crushed me because it wasn't showing up the way I thought. And so it crushed me so bad that I actually got triggered and left my job, and then I was unemployed. No bueno. But check this out. So then I just started to apply for every job, and then I remembered my value. I'm like, wait a second. I was his top sales rep, literally. He was trying to give me more time to grow the territory because he knew I was top, and he was trying to give some of my territory to somebody else so I had more time to grow it. And, he didn't go about it right, but somebody else will. And so that's the thought system I started to get into to start making me feel better. I intend to find this job because I know my value, and I cultivated the feeling inside, and the next thing you know, I got a job. Okay. And so don't get it twisted though. That first job that came, I was still kind of at sorts with my intentions and my things. So I was sifting and sorting, and the job sucked. It really did. It was way hard. It was a different, type of entity I was brokering to, this and that. So then I started to, again, start to cultivate the feeling, this and that. And so then somebody had left my old company and said, I'm starting a company. I want you to start it with me. So I was getting really strong into these intentions versus expectation type energy, but I kept flipping around, because then when she started triggering me about things because she seemed incompetent to me, which, by the way, at my last company, she was a buyer and I was a seller. And so we didn't see eye to eye on anything, and I was really struggling because I was like, wow, she needs to be able to buy what I need. I'm going to be the only sales rep in the beginning. And she's just like on her whole, she had sold to many different channels, and she was on her own thing, and we just started to clash. And I didn't realize until this happened that it was because I had set the intention that I was happier, freer, didn't need to travel, kind of very self-motivated and self-governed. There you go. Sorry. So when I had set those intentions and things were falling apart, I was starting to freak out at this point. I'd lost my high-paying job. Now I had 5 kids. It's before I had my 6th kid. And I had all of these career issues going on in this girl that I'm starting to invest all my time. And I told all my old customers that I was coming in my own new company. I had a partner. And then all of a sudden, she went ghost. Best thing that ever happened to me. Because I said, instead of freaking out and trying to go find a different job, I said, okay, I know the intentions I set. What is this trying to show me to get to my intentions? And then I started cultivating. This is showing me something good. Stop falling for the old thought system and the expectations of how this should have went. Because I did put a lot of expectation, and then I moved it back to intention. I remembered all my intentions that went and got me there. And don't get it twisted. This is after many, many years of spirituality, self-help, things like that. I didn't just automatically start doing what we're talking about right now, but I stayed the course. And that's why I want to share this story with you, because the next thing that happened was so profound. I went to cultivate that feeling in the intention that I'm going to just pay attention to what the gift in this is instead of focusing on my expectations that aren't falling into place. Because I recognize that's what I was doing by the triggers and by crying in my bed every day. How am I going to support my family? And it was weird because everything had started to fall into place. Like I had support from, my neighbors. I had support from friends. And, it was just amazing. And so then she started to really just be super wishy-washy. And I really got into that intention. Show me what this is. And you know what it was? The next thing I knew, one of my old customers said, you should start your own company. You're the smartest person I know. And then he was like, I can talk to Cisco and get you to be a prime vendor for our state if you do this. And I did it. I was intensely terrified, y'all. I was starting a food brokerage all by myself. We're talking about a girl that worked her way up in sales because she didn't have any education. But the intention was set me on the path of having the most freedom and most self-reliant, governing energy I could possibly have. And I did it. And everything after that, because I just kept cultivating the feeling, just fell into place. But if you've listened to other videos, I told you how once I started having that amount of abundance, it scared me so much. And so that was a whole nother animal that I had to contend with. But I want to use this story for you to understand the difference between if I would have stuck with my expectations versus just kept cultivating the feeling that my original intention is still strong within me. I know, and I'm not focused on what I'm seeing is taking me on this give up. No, go for it. Give up. Go for it. Give up. I was just like, okay, show me more. Show me more. Show me more. I'm not going to freak out. I'm going to cultivate the feeling that this is all happening for me. And I was able to. And in the first year, I earned $1.2 million. Yeah. So it is important for us to really not lose our sense of self by what we're seeing in the reality and expecting to happen to lead us to our best life, and just sit with the intention and keep cultivating the feeling that it's coming. And then it will, in the way that the universe wants to provide, not the way that our limited perception thinks it should happen. Key. Okay. So let's just recap real quick so you can start getting into setting intentions, cultivating the feeling, and just allowing things to happen. Letting go of expectations. If the dude is ghosting you, it's because you asked for a good soulmate and he's not it. Stay in the feeling of belief, regardless of what the universe is showing you. Oh, he's not it? Cool. Let me keep believing that it's coming to me. Maybe I just had to get this challenge to solidify within myself, my self-governance, that I can stay in faith and hope of things unseen rather than being dictated by the reality of how I should feel or believe. And that's the mindset shift right there. Got to get out of that. We're looking at the reality to determine how we should feel, and we're just cultivating the feeling and staying there. Okay, so expectation is rooted in duality. We have unconscious beliefs that push against it, cause resistance, and we can't feel the feeling. An intention is cultivating the feeling within us and intending for our best lives to unfold, and we're not 100% sure of how, but we're going to hold the feeling no matter what the universe is showing us until it starts to become a lamp to our feet. I love that part of the Bible, because it really is. It's like, with my example, all of a sudden this guy said this and this guy, and then all the manufacturers were giving me credit, and I didn't. It was like hundreds of thousands of dollars of credit, and I'm like, holy smokes, I can buy 5 truckloads of food and they just are going to give it to me. Like, okay, let's do this. You just don't know. And in my limited perception and expectations, I would have never thought that possible. But the universe made that way because that was the best match for the intention. Expectations might not even get us to what we're intending. Right? Okay, so I hope this video helps, and let's cultivate the feelings and intend how we want our lives to go, and then pay real strong attention to how we are allowing externals to dictate how we feel, and erase that, push through that, and still feel good that our intentions will be supplied to us. So I hope this helps. If you like it, please like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.